Camera facing that way, obviously not this way, so kind of an odd angle, but it is what it is. This is the angle that I usually Twitch stream on. I want to do a quick video over here at Young Ripper 59 Entertainment to talk about look, this isn't necessarily a new topic when it comes to games journalists or journalists and the type of bull crap that they spew out. But I just want to highlight certainly the intention, but also to the weirdos that they're responding to. This goes in a lot, like even with the Gina Carano thing, it ties into all of that, where you have these groups of weirdos who they figure that they are always the good guys. And anybody that is to the opposite of them or disagrees with them, certainly on social issues, then there's something wrong with them. They're wrong. And Kotaku had some dickhead write this article who is a Hogwarts Legacy lead designer, used to run anti-social justice YouTube channel. For guys like me who are against these concepts of social justice, my argument has always been the case that there is no such thing as social justice, there's only justice. Nonetheless, it's not a thing that I generally support, and quite often it has just been kind of useless people finding their way to activism and to try to find some sort of self-fulfillment. And unfortunately, what they end up doing is having a lot of witch hunts and demonizing people that don't seem to see the world through the lens that they certainly see it through. And quite often, their lens is a very, very cloudy one, though they would claim that, you know, the guys like myself who are against these concepts of social justice, because social justice is everything that is done that is good, let them tell it. But Hogwarts Legacy, an upcoming game, as you can see. And before we get into the article itself, you see right here that we have a bunch of weirdos who these are the people that they're appealing to. I saw one little dipstick said something along the lines of they need to get rid of them. Like, oh, look at it, like this person. Oh my God, I really wanted to get into the game, but they should totally kick that guy out. Plus, look at the cringe compilation of people he follows. And basically it is some conservative people that he follows, a colleague over here, Lauren Chen. But yeah, some people that he follows that aren't, you know, Shapiro's of the world. They're more conservative commentators and not leftists like them. And of course, he does not seem to, or Julio here does not seem to like that. But the article itself is just a bunch of dog crap. And it is sort of, you say, what it is they're putting emphasis on this because that person is part of a big project, which was WB Games. I'm telling you one. Well, Warner Bros. Development studio, Avalanche Software, currently working on controversial Harry Potter game. And the only reason an article like this exists is because it has nothing to do with information. Nobody sits up here and tries to find the political or social views of people that are part of these projects, like a lead designer or something like that, unless it is something that is expedient for a particular cause. And you can look no further than this guy who wrote it. If you actually look at this goofball, typical Kotaku looking guy anyway. Nonetheless, what it is, they're talking about some Gamergate stuff or right wing. He does videos that has the injustice, social justice, which, I mean, by the title itself, yes, there is injustice and a lot of social justice because it's not based upon actual justice. But the idea and the slant here is, of course, that this person is bad. Like right here, you say video games right here at the end. Video games are made by massive teams, people of vastly different backgrounds, viewpoints, blah, blah, blah. Levitt has single-handedly infected every aspect of Hogwarts Legacy with an anti-feminist agenda. That said, it's obvious why folks might be weary of interacting with the game developed by someone with his beliefs. See, that type of stuff is so about the creator's own bigoted world, right? He's a bigot because he may say something that is anti, let's say, modern feminism or anti-modern this nonsensical social justice bullcrap, and therefore you are a threat. They will paint you as these evil people, and this dickhead over at Kotaku is going to do exactly that. But that's what you're dealing with, and these are the types of folks that you're dealing with. and that they are very dishonest. They're disingenuous. But the thing is, you have a viewpoint and you have a political view or you have a social view that is different from theirs. And therefore, they find that to be an error, especially if it's against the grain or their grain. Rather, that's what they take such issue with. That's the only reason this story exists, because this guy wants to out him. And of course, they hope they are going to probably be clapping and whatnot in the event that they find out that this man ends up getting fired or dropped from this project and not part of it because he has the views that he has. See, they can't possibly see the world through the lens in which you, as a raging leftist, certainly when it comes to the topics of social justice, you're not the only person in the goddamn world. And just because you see this as legitimate or you see this as righteous, just, does not mean that everybody else does. So folks like myself, and see, this is what I would have less of a problem with the industry. When I talk about not just the tokenization or some of the main topics that you guys know me for discussing over at my main channel or just really on anything regarding entertainment, it isn't just that. Right. It's about this sort of seeing all of this culture or subcultures be completely infiltrated by these guys. And then they try to act as if everybody against them is a bad person. Right. That's what I take particular issue with. And that's what I take why I combat these guys at every single stage, because if it was one of those things where it was just, okay, you have a person that's maybe leans left here, a person that leans to the right, person more central, libertarian, anarchist, whatever, that were part of these projects, which I'm sure had historically been happening, it's like whatever. But right now what we're dealing with is a bunch of people who can't see the world through a lens aside from their own. And they, of course, think that it's right. And this is like they came to this subject or their side of this subject that they're on by way of any sort of reason. Like, yeah, there is right and there is wrong, but they see the world as you're wrong, they're right. So, you know, you be against these concepts of social justice, which are nonsensical points. Yes, people can make arguments against modern feminists. Other actual women do that, right? But there's something wrong with you and you're a bigot in the event that you certainly do that. That's the only reason why this article exists. Because they want to out them. Of course, they want to end up getting them fired, because you should not be part of a project that's this big. That's an issue. You shouldn't be part of a project. Guy can be a Trump-hating leftist, and that's perfectly fine. There would be no call from Kotaku calling them a bigot or anything. You can call half of the freaking voting population a bunch of Nazis, and that's perfectly fine. And the guys over, I'm sure, at Kotaku and the people that take this bull crap serious, those types, it's nothing. I'm sure there's plenty of leftists within this industry that have perfectly public, but they will never make like these journalists, let's say, they won't make articles or anything like that depicting them, let's say, in a bad light, sort of in bad taste. Because that's the acceptable opinion. That's the acceptable position. This is why these guys must be combated and must be told exactly what they are. And people that are part of this industry need to stop being any industry up subculture. I made this point with the Gina thing. Stop being in hiding. People will get your back, but we need more people to just be out themselves as, okay, we're not leftists or whatever, out yourself, and people go flock to those projects. That doesn't mean that the game's not going to be a dud just because this guy's leftists make good games. You know, I'm sure people that can be a lead designer that has more views that are slanted to the right when it comes to anything else can make good and bad games. It's not to say that that's going to be good, but what I am saying is that folks need to understand that their idea is not the idea when it comes to their social preferences, which is really all that we're talking about. Social preferences that you despise. Now, we can argue, we can have these conversations, but to act like you inherit the high ground, and anybody that dares to think differently from you on the topic of, let's say, social justice, well, they're a problem. No, fool, you are a problem as far as I am concerned.